In this video, we start to wire the car, get the fuel system finished up. We've bought some new wheels, probably giving it away right there, but we got them on a pretty good deal. They were $400, 20-inch, genuine Simmons. The clear coat's peeling on them. The rear tyres are probably no good, but anyway. So we bought a new set of wheels. We do the VT brake booster conversion. The car does run on aero start. Ultimately, it does run, but we ended up taking another ECU off another car that's got the similar setup with the turbo killer cam and the 730cc injectors, but with the ECU that's on it currently now, it doesn't run, but we need to go and get it tuned. So just on that, I tried to get the car running, content, put the footage out there, and ultimately I should have taken a step back and finished a few things before I got to that point. So we still need to do, I want to cut the springs in the rear, lower the car down. We'll do the put the seatbelt webbing in there to stop the springs falling out. I think Rim Range Customs put up a video and showed everyone how to do that. So, and then we still got to hook up the shifter. So I got the shifter drop box turned up from Lowy Fabs today. The coolant, hooking up the thermo. So we need to get everything ready basically to send it to the dyno. There's no seat in it. There's no steering column. Everything's a mess, but I tried to get it going, and ultimately I should have tried to finish off a few other jobs first. So that'll be the next video, hooking up the shifter and doing everything that should have been done, bleeding the brake lines. I mean, they're pretty well bled now, but we just need to take a little bit more air out of them, get it running, driving, steering. So yeah, that'll be the next video. We'll get into this video now. Getting ready to do the VT, well, it's actually a VZ brake upgrade with the booster. So I pulled this off a VZ V6, and it's only got the 2 ports because it goes to the ABS sensor and then runs from there. So inadvertently we're going to do a rear brake delete on this. The VTs have got 3 ports. I had a look at another VT there when I was pulling this one out. It's got 3 ports, so you can get the 2 front and the back brake line on it, but the brake line did run very close to the extractors anyway. So I mean, we don't really need rear brakes as long as we've got a hand brake. That's all we need. So with these, you have to just bought generic eBay set booster bracket. So you got to weld this hole up, and then you've got to drill another 10 mil hole, 111 mil from the bracket, which ends up putting it pretty much on the edge of this other hole. So weld that up, and then you've got to shorten the actual bracket itself down to about 122 mil. So we'll get this welded up, drill a new hole, and then we'll chop it off and make it look pretty. I did see a few videos saying to drill a 9mm hole, but I drilled it at 10 and it still needed a bit of a ream out to fit on the VL anyway, so I'm sure this is not how you're supposed to do it, but you literally can't get to these bolts. Even with a little ratchet ring spanner, you can't get inside there when the bracket's where it's supposed to be. So I also couldn't get the master on with the brake reservoir on it. It was hitting this part here, so had to take that off, put that on, bolt that on. I'll tighten this bracket up here, and then we'll put the securing bolt in for that. So this is I will admit, this is a cheap eBay bracket. So maybe look into the Australian made stuff, but for this job, it wasn't really, we're not getting engineered, so as always, we've done a fair bit off camera, but we're just starting to get some of the wiring sorted, so everything's plugged in for that. We've got the feed and return lines for the fuel run down here. We've done the VZ booster. I'll throw some videos in there, but we still need to get some adapters to go to here. Obviously the V6 booster doesn't have the third port on there, so we have deleted the rear brakes anyway, and it's ridiculously close in here. I'm going to try and tap this bracket up a bit. So yeah, we've started to do the wiring, mount the ECU. So this is a VE style L98 ECU. So they've got the ECU sitting down here, that one over there. If anyone wants a VE SS manual, let me know. Rebuilt motor, turbo killer cam. Yeah, so we ended up working out sort of the best place to mount it, which is here with the battery. So we've got all the terminals and everything there ready to go with the drive-by-wire throttle, and the OBD2 port will go into there, and then we just need to run a wire back to the flex fuel sensor and the fuel pump in the rear. So with the wiring for the alternator and the starter motor, I had some help from one of the local blokes here, Blake. He does automotive electrical wiring. We left it here last night and he spent about 25 minutes rerunning all these wires, tidying everything up, pulling the starter feed out of the RB30 harness, put it all together. We still need a plug for that. Yeah, so if you need him to do any wiring sort of stuff for you out here in the Central West, let me know and I'll put you onto him. Yeah, so we've shortened the exhaust section here to go from 2.5 to 3 inch. These are a pacemaker, these are a rod shop exhaust system, and I bought 2.5 inch flanges, but they're obviously different to whatever flanges they're using on this one. So anyway, we'll re-drill some holes. It's only got to go from there to there, so we'll make it work. What's the old saying? Do as I say, don't do as I do. So look, yeah, we bought a different exhaust to the extractors. I bought the wrong flanges, but we're going to go from 2.5 to 3 inch with this little fucking adapter piece in here. This little regular adapter piece at 105. So is this the correct way to do it? No, but look, it's gonna work. This side's probably fucking worse than the other side, but 2.5 to 3 inch it does hit, but we can put longer brackets on that. So yeah, we'll get this side measured up, cut it. So the 3 to 2.5 inch adapters, yeah, buy the right kit for everything that you're doing instead of trying to modify it. But anyway, we'll get these off, weld the inside, because my brackets, I bought the wrong brackets, but anyway, we'll make it work. Weld the inside so it's exhaust proof, so to speak. Got a weld, or I cut it from 3 inch to 2.5. And yeah, go from there. Finished up the VT brake upgrade, so we ended up getting the right fittings. We deleted the rear brakes. We've only had 2 ports on the VZ Alloytech booster, so it appears the VTs and that have 3 ports on them. These VZs go into the ABS sensor, into the ABS module, and I've only got 2. Yeah, so we'll put a cable tie on there, but with these lines, did find that this one was on the other side and it was all bound up. So I don't know if they are dependent left and right, but it's heaps easier if you swap them around the other way. Blake's done a lot of the wiring, so it goes to the new starter motor with the trigger. Comes back across here, and he paired back the knock sensor and the crank angle sensor so it doesn't run down the back of the harness past the extractors. Mounted up the ECU. This is a VE harness, so the ECU was down in the engine bay originally. Doing the fuel lines, so feed and return. Found a couple of holes that were just the right size that go through the chassis rail here to keep everything away from the extractors basically. We ran out of fuel lines, so we had to put a couple of joiners in there. We've done the transcooler. Might have to put something underneath that, but yeah, so the transcooler lines are run to the back here, and then we've got the fuel lines going up into the engine bay, up into the boot, sorry. And we'll start wiring that up. So we'll drop the car down, and I'll show you what we're doing with the wiring. Got a twin 5mm and the sensor for the thermostat running through there, so we'll have 1 core of that each for the fans, and they'll just be earthed. That runs through there. That 5mm then runs through the back of the car, back to the boot. One will be for the fuel pump, and the other wire will be for the transmission cooler. So we're just going to run both of them triggered off the fuel pump, so when the fuel pump's running, the cooler's running. We've got another twin coming back. That will go to the flex fuel sensor. for the ECU, which will be powered from the back as well, through that 5mm. You put some relays in there. And then we've got our earth and positive, Blake's wired all that up, so it's all legit, all happy. So once we have a bit more of that, we'll do another video and show you everything with that. We've got the fuel line, obviously everything in here sorted. Everything needs to be tightened up, and then we've done the booster. We've got the fittings to suit. It's a dual port, it's not a 3-port booster. It does hit here, whether we get the AU style reservoir, which just tilts it down a little bit, or we'll probably just try and space that out a little bit and just stop it from rubbing. Put the vacuum line onto the back. So there's probably some people out there that are wigging out at the moment because I'm soldering wires and not crimping them, motorsport wiring like I should be, but I mean, have a look at the car, it's held together with cable ties and hose clamps. But anyway, this wire is probably a little bit overkill, but try and make sure the earth's good, and because it's run so far from the engine bay, we just run the twin 5mm. We had a bit laying around anyway, so So yeah, we've got a bit of a mess going on here, but anyway. So we're just wiring up the flex fuel sensor. Just jumped on the Google here. So basically, if it's sitting in that orientation, you've got 12 volt earth and then trigger out. So we've run this wire here, comes off the power for the thermo. So yeah, power earth, and then we've got another twin running back here. It'll go back to the ECU. So fitted the inline fuel filter. This is all just dummied up for now. Once we get all the cable lengths and hose lengths sorted, we'll try and neat it up a bit, cable tie everything together and get rid of all the mess and go from there. It's pretty agricultural, but still have to tighten it up. We'll check for a few leaks, but we've got power. We don't have power yet because I haven't wired up the relays, but everything's where it needs to be in the back here, so just filled it up with fuel as well. Obviously we'll prime the whole system. Once we get up to that stage, check for leaks, tighten everything up, and then I'll do a bit of cable management on this. Might look horrible, but so we're just getting everything sorted up the front end. So we've got fuel pump and thermos. Got 2 relays wired in here with the earth point. That's the earth point off the battery, and also I'm going to make a connection from here back to the block. So we started wiring up the plug for the standalone harness. So we've got fuel pump trigger, 12 volt ECU, so that'll go up to the power. The fuel pump triggers both the thermo for the transcooler and also the, well, obviously fuel pumps. And we've got the flex fuel coming back. We've also done another double nut earth over here, just to earth off the block back to the chassis, because we are relying on the chassis for the earth return. And then we've wired in the 2 fans that go to the thermo controller. So we went with the thermo controller so we can control both fans independently with the temperature sensor. And you can set where you want them to come on and off. We've got the 70-degree thermostat in there already. So that's the sensor for the thermostat controller. So we'll run that with that wire, mount that under the dash somewhere. So yeah, we're getting, we just need to find an ignition wire. So once we get the steering column in and get the battery wired up, got to get a few new terminals for that. We'll pull an ignition wire out of the harness. That'll give us an ignition for the ECU, also ignition for the thermostat controller. So we're just trying to find the ignition power. So it's probably pretty obvious, so to speak, but so we've got 12.4 volts with the key off. Pretty wild setup going on here, but turn the ignition on and we've got 12 volts on the pink. If we come out here, this is the plug for the automatic, I believe, which is not here anymore. So 12.3 volts. Turn the ignition off. Nothing. So we can pull the ignition out of that to go to the standalone harness. So we're just getting the battery terminals sorted out. So obviously these wires go into the factory RB harness, which don't actually connect directly to the LS harness earth. The LS harness earths come off the motor, so I've gone, I don't know where the factory earth point was, but I've gone to a bigger earth to go onto the body, and then we'll go from the body to the head. Most of these wires, they're pretty large at going to the RB harness, but most of everything that's needed for the RB harness is gone anyway, so we'll upgrade this, and then we've got the other earth over here as well, back to the body, so should be plenty enough. So these lugs, when you buy them, they'll say 50 by 8 or whatever. So you'll have your 50 marks on here. You can just spin these around on these cable lug crimpers. 8mm is the hole that's inside it. So I have run flux on these wires, and we will stick the soldering iron down there, just jam some solder in there just to make sure the connection is good. So we've been having a few dramas, ended up being dramas that I caused, but anyway, so I'd left this harness out of it. I thought it was for the automatic box, the factory automatic box. I believe it still is, but it actually has the purple starter relay in it. Strangely enough, there's the pink ignition wire that goes to this is what I cut for the ECU, and it physically doesn't go anywhere. So if you are doing a harness and you need a ignition wire, just cut that one because it doesn't go anywhere. So we've got fuel off the key. This is probably a Bankstown special, but we've got fuel. It does crank. So we put the plugs in it, we'll tighten them up, and we'll put the ignition leads on. Should I be starting it in this state? Probably not, but upper